Hey everybody, welcome to Press X to Podcast, where it is layoff day again. This could be
Oh,
any day
fuck.
of the week. Maybe that should just be our intro from now on. Hey, everybody, welcome to Press X to Podcast. It's layoff day.
Wait, what? Are you guys getting rid of me?
No, just like a
You didn't
couple
get.
hundred people at Bungie. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
It's
get
not-
your fucking email, Paul. Clearly.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
here,
I did that
archive.
wrong. I shut down your email and then I sent the email. Sorry about that. Next time. Next
You
time.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, just bass backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, 200 and some odd people at Bungie again. It's like 20%.
Oh. Damn.
And another 200 getting integrated into Sony. So sounds like Sony is just kind of slowly absorbing Bungie into the regular PlayStation Studios
Yeah.
side of things.
Great way to make sure that your Bungie games continuously get worse. Because basically what that means, right, is that they're like, well, when you're not working on Bungie projects, you can do shit for us, which is code for you're never going to have a full-time staff for a game again, so buckle up for that shit.
Hmm.
Really, I don't
They
know
could
that.
do
This
that.
isn't like a thing. I'm just like, that sounds like what they're doing, doesn't it?
It sort of feels that way. But
Yeah.
Bungie has sort of proven that they can't really operate on their own. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
You know what? That's a fair point. I hadn't considered that. Maybe it will, on balance, end up being a good thing. I don't know, but generally not. Generally, layoffs and acquisitions are never good. Sometimes good things happen in spite of them, but like,
Yeah. The pitchforks are definitely out on the internet.
as it
People are
should be.
not pleased.
yeah, fuck them. Listen. It's not good. And people are right to be mad.
In the face of all that, though, video games continue on. Video games are eternal,
Yeah.
I would
So-
argue.
So we took like a week and a bit off. Maybe even, at least a week. And in the interim, I have a lot of shit to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. I signed up for PlayStation Plus, the super one,
Mhm.
because I quit Game Pass. And so I went on a fucking downloading spree, just, whatever looks cool, I'll check it out. And there's some stuff that you can only stream, so I got to like bookmark that for later, because like, just like, oh man, do you miss playing weird JRPGs? Because there's fucking dozens of them on this platform, man. And it played some shit for COG, but lots of stuff.
Cool. Well, what do you want to talk about first?
You know what? Let's talk about Outlaws first.
Okay.
Star Wars Outlaws. Let's come out swinging, come out strong. I attended a digital preview event, and it was for like 4 hours, and I spent 90% of that playing. And you know what? I am cautiously optimistic.
You were whelmed?
I was whelmed.
Okay.
Part of that is because the vertical slice was so skinny, or more specifically, that it leaves a lot of room for like ambiguity where you're not totally sure what the complete experience is going to be like. So it looks like there's going to be a robust side quest economy, although again, I didn't see a ton of it. There was like, I only really messed with one side quest, and it was some dude being like, you want to do a speeder bike race? I was like, fuck yeah. So I did a speeder bike race, and that was fun. And there was a couple of times I'd see people and be like, hey, do you want to do this thing for me? I'm like, I kind of got to get through the rest of this content. So no, but thanks, bud.
Given unlimited time, I would for sure help you with your rat problem.
Yeah, I once time constraints are less of an issue, I'm probably gonna go crazy with the side quests. couple of interesting points. They have a faction system. There's no morality system in play that I can see. It's fine. You want to rob somebody, it's fine. You just had to do it. Backstab somebody, they'll like you less and their bosses will like you less, but that's cool. That's just the calculus. I didn't see or have access to any sort of leveling system. So I think it might be, from what I could tell, you can like upgrade gear and shit, but like you don't like you're not like level gated or anything like that. Like not that I could see at least. Again, that's one of those things. It's one of the questions I have. Is there going to be a system like that in play? Am I going to be level grinding? But so far from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it. There's ground on the ground combat. There's stealth visions. There's a lot of stealth visions. A lot of stealth. There's firefights in the sky. And those were okay. The one I engaged in was pretty simple. Not a lot to it, but you're shooting dudes out of the sky, and that was cool. Ship controls when you're flying are pretty straightforward. They're pretty easy. You just, no complicated going into hyperdrive or lightspeed or whatever. Which is nice because I think canonically in the universe it's actually kind of difficult to do the calculus and shit. You just, I think, hit a couple of buttons and fuck right off. Yeah, the world they presented is pretty cool. The one world I spent the most time on, whose name I seriously still cannot remember, was sweet. Had a sort of like spaceport cantina vibe to it. Yeah, you have an adorable companion because that's like Star Wars law. You have to every single goddamn thing they make has to have some cute thing that you can anthropomorphize and like put a personality on that doesn't exist. In this case, it's a weird little axolotl looking alien type dude. You can like run around inside of your ship and like kind of explore it and see all the chambers. And that's cool. That's nice. It's not just like a menu where you like click on it. It's like, you want to go to a menu and fly? No, you hop on that thing, you fucking take off and you go.
Nice.
Probably not. My understanding is there's not going to be a ton of planets to explore, which is good. I'd rather have like a small list of curated worlds than like 100 procedurally generated fucking sandboxes. Mostly sand by volume.
Yeah, I'd way rather have 4 or 5 really dense places to poke around, and then if the game does well, DLC opportunities are endless. Add a new world, add a new world, add a new world. You can do that forever.
Yeah. I don't like stealth. Just generally, it's just like not to my taste. And a lot of the missions I did were stealth based. But there's portions of said missions where you could go loud if you wanted to. I'm very curious about what the final balance of stealth versus non-stealth is going to be. But I think because you're like a smuggler / scoundrel by trade, a lot of what you do is going to involve taking shit from people and like robbing people and stuff. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of sneaking around. I think part of the reason I really didn't like the stealth is because we were on such a like tight timeline for the gameplay session. And so I felt very pressured to be like, oh, you got to do this, you got to move ahead. Whereas normally I'd way rather just kind of like fail and fuck around and experiment and be like, well, what does this do? And what does this do? And just like, get caught a bunch of times just to like learn the behavior of people and see how they work and like what their limits are and stuff like that. Like kind of like feel out the edges of the mechanics.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm mostly just very curious as to what the final game is going to look like. Some nice things, limited crafting, no leveling up that I could see that I had access to. No fucking towers to climb to activate the world. It was just like you in a bespoke
really?
place. Like, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Aw shucks, right?
Well, what
you
I'm seeing here, it seems like it could use some towers to climb because this looks like shit. It looks fucking terrible.
really?
Yeah.
That is not the impression I came away with when I played it. I thought it looked like, explain specifically what about it looks like shit. Like, break it down for me based on your look at the gameplay footage.
It looks like a game from 2009. Janky animations.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just watching this lockpicking minigame. A lockpicking minigame that's unnecessary.
I'm going to come out and say it right now. I don't feel like we can make any hard calls on the animation because everybody who was doing the gameplay session was doing it over Parsec. So there is simply no way to guarantee what it's going to play like before it comes out.
I mean, it looks pretty simple from a gameplay perspective.
Simple.
Like, it's not mechanically dense. It looks like you point your blaster, you blast them.
It's very possible that like what I saw in the session is all of it, and that it's like going to be super fucking boring.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now.
It,
I guarantee this is going to be a 7.
I mean, yes, obviously. Oh my God, Rhett, what are you? It's a game published by Ubisoft. Its fate was set in stone before we ever had this conversation or it was even announced. They're a 7 out of 10 studio.
Maybe this could have been where you tried to make something that was above a 7.
Well, listen, I like to give these people the benefit of the doubt. They're a very big studio. It's not developed by Ubisoft. It's developed by Massive Entertainment. So it's possible that the full game is going to be robust and rich enough and cool enough and paced well enough that it all feels great. Or it's going to be just what we saw in the gameplay demo times 100, just like stretched out over 40 hours, and it's going to be kind of busted. But we simply don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. How much of the narrative and story did you get? Because I think Brett is right from a gameplay perspective. This is going to be right down the middle, exactly what you expect it to be. But will they tell a good enough story that maybe it's better than a 7?
It's the writing's not bad from what I can see, and it's interesting, and like the characters you meet seem kind of cool. There's some like larger story beats because when we play the demo, they just load a save up, and you're like, okay, you start at this place in the city. I'm like, okay, great, and you just kind of go. So like the overarching narrative, you don't quite have the shape of. Like you can kind of guess at it from what you play, where it's like you play this chick named Kay Vess, the smuggler who stole this very, very nice ship, like the fucking Cadillac Coupe de Ville of fucking smuggler class freighters. But like and like some people are like not thrilled with you generally, like you have a lot of enemies basically immediately, and like you have to sort of ingratiate your way into any place you try to like do work for, and like people are generally not thrilled to see you around, and like she has this very like, well, I'm just gonna walk up and talk to this mob boss, and they're like, how about you go fuck yourself? What are you even doing here? It's just like
Got a comment. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you just dropped in this rock like 2 days ago, and you're coming in here trying to like make waves. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, we got a comment in the chat. Some viewers agree. We love Ubisoft. Give all money to Ubisoft. Great investment. Very nice.
Yeah. I'm curious because it's developed by a different studio, but it is still published by Ubisoft. My suspicion is it's going to be a 7.5 experience. However, I can't be making these judgments before actually playing the game proper. So we're gonna give it a shot, give it the honest try, see what it's like.
Man, it looks like something that would have come out on the 360. And I'm not even saying visually. Visually, it's okay. it looks so mundane.
As somebody who's done a lot of leaping around Game Pass and PlayStation and, various backlog libraries, I feel like people forget how busted those games were in some ways by comparison.
Oh no, man. I think Red Dead Redemption, the original, still looks a hell of a lot better than this.
Sure, okay. A super high budget game from a basically bespoke studio that
Is
produces.
Ubisoft not a fucking high budget developer?
No
Not
way,
anymore.
no way, not compared to Rockstar.
How much do they put into this game?
It's not even so much the money; it's more the time and the staff. To me, Rockstar is a place that retains a larger percentage of their core staff, and they take years and years and years, and they do one release every 3 to 5 years, and so what they put out is automatically on a wholly different level than something like Ubisoft, who's punching out I don't know, multiple games a year depending on what teams are doing it, and most of their major franchises are doing basically yearly releases, and so the quality ceiling is just the tiniest bit lower than it is for Rockstar.
All right, well then fucking Gears of War looks better. Last of Us looks better.
Yeah, I played the first Gears of War recently, and I gotta say, not great. Not great. Does not age particularly well. Not good. So goddamn boring. So much duck and cover bullshit. So boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
this, to be fair, this does look like it's basically a cover shooter when you get into combat.
yeah.
My impression, based on the gameplay that I have played or whatever, is that the devs would really prefer that you do as much either sneaking around or clever shit to avoid combat as possible, because it seems like in the beginning you're pretty squishy.
That's going to be a problem. That's going to be one reason why people hate the game.
Brett, I'm gonna be real with you.
What kind of open world exploration game doesn't allow you to approach situations how you want to approach them?
There's a lot of reasons people are gonna hate this game, Brett.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Let's be real. It stars a woman. It stars a woman in Star Wars.
I know, right?
So there's a certain
Bullshit.
percentage of people who are going to be like,
yo, so I just played Cyberpunk, and I'm like, wow, what an experience Cyberpunk was. And I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, god damn, it looks like a fucking fraction of what Cyberpunk tried to do. Now, I agree. And now going back to what you're saying, yeah, obviously that had a very long development cycle. CD Projekt Red. But
yeah,
it's like, how am I supposed to get into this when I have to approach each situation in one way only?
Now, do we know that that's the case? Or is that the way the demo was being guided?
It's not necessarily the case. For example, there was one mission I played where I needed to steal a part from my blaster so I could do specific cool shit with it, like an ion attachment. And there was 2 different factions that had them in their storage. Now I could have gone to the Pikes and taken it from them, but they do not like me, and so they would not even let me in the front door. But the Crimson Dawn, or whatever the fuck their name was, I was in with them just good enough where I could wander around, wait till one of the guards wasn't looking, and sneak into a vent and just start 40% further ahead than it would have been otherwise. And then once I did a certain level of sneaking and got to this other section, it was just oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here. They're like, yep, sounds good to me. And there's certain sections where it's if you get caught, they'll just kick you out. But there's other sections where if you get caught, they will just shoot you, and then you have an opportunity to shoot them back first, and then just sort of get real loud with it, and do that whole thing. So yeah, strictly speaking, you can either go quiet or loud when you're doing an infiltration, like a B&E, but like there's not like a crazy amount of variety.
Mark my words. We'll be right here upon release talking about how awful this game is.
I mean, I know you will. I can.
So shall it be written, so shall it be done.
Okay.
This looks like poop. Ubisoft, you should have taken this money and just put it into Rainbow Six. Let's be real here.
It's
Stop
really
fucking around.
Oh, you've been
really-
drinking the rainbow Kool-Aid, though.
It's really funny to me that you're like, oh, this looks like such shit. It's gonna be a 7 out of 10. I'm like, those are two different things, Rhett.
Wow.
I mean, I say that in comparison to the hype and I think the expectations for this game. I think when they first announced it, a lot of people were expecting a fucking 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? It's a fucking Ubisoft game.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars, man. It was supposed to be Star Wars that wasn't made by EA. It was supposed to be great.
To be fair, even some of the Star Wars made by EA has been pretty good, or at least published by them.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It feels to personally to me, I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but to me, I was like, I didn't have like high hopes or expectations for this game, just because like Star Wars shit.
I remember Paul saying that one stood out to you when they showed it off.
Well, I mean, the vibes are a lot just cooler and roughshod and more like, you know, like less Jedi shit, more like blasting and burglary.
That's a great point. You know, the game does look like fucking The Division. It looks like The Division.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And that's not great.
Yeah. Well,
That's not great.
I mean,
Admit
the
it.
Division 1 was a solid.
Oh, I think less than a 7.
Really?
Yeah, Division 1 was a huge letdown.
I don't.
It was
agree
one
with
of
you.
those games, just like the original
that's
Watch
one of those-
Dogs, just like the original Watch Dogs, that they showed off, and what they had originally promised was nothing like the final product.
Oh yeah, the Ubi downgrade was in full effect. But I think from
it
a
was bad with that one.
gameplay perspective, the Division is significantly better than other Ubisoft games.
You think it'll be better than Star Wars?
Who fucking knows, bro?
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
We're gonna-
I
we're
don't
gonna-
expect
we're
this
gonna-
to be a gameplay masterpiece.
Yeah.
No.
I want this to be a
No.
7 that I enjoy playing.
Like, look at the combat right there. Look at that hand to hand. It
looks like
it was
looks-
made 15 years ago.
Yeah, it looks outdated.
Yeah.
I think it felt like when I was playing, like there were certain things your character just isn't particularly good at, and trying to make her do stuff like that is just gonna look like clunky and fucked. Like when she knocks somebody out from behind, it's like, oh my god, have you ever thrown a punch in your life? What are you doing?
Okay, so why the fuck
So
would I want to
funny.
play as this character? Of all the badasses in Star Wars lore, and I have to play it as this? Somebody that can't throw a punch?
Sorry. Point of order. There are not exactly a ton of badasses in Star Wars lore.
Jar Jar,
most-
hello.
Most Star Wars characters are plucky underdog fuck ups that barely manage to survive any encounter they're thrown into. Badasses are actually a very rare subspecies in Star Wars.
Bullshit.
Even our boy the Mandalorian is a comical fuck up for like a significant chunk of the screen time.
Well,
He's-
that's Disney though. I want to pull from pre-Disney era Star Wars.
okay, fine. You know what, Rhett? Let's fucking do
Disney
this
loves
right now.
making weak sauce characters that everybody can relate to. Ah.
Please, Rhett, tell me about the pre-Disney Star Wars badasses you can remember off the top of your head.
The legendary Darth Vader. Hello, Mace Windu, the red guy. What was his name? With the dual sword.
Oh,
What's
Darth
his
Maul.
name? Darth Maul. Obi-Wan. Han Solo. Boba
Okay.
Fett. Need I say more?
Han Solo is one of those plucky underdog fuck-ups I was referring
he
to.
is.
Nah,
Boba-
he's a stud.
Boba Fett, you
he's
see in
fucking
action
Princess Leia.
2 times.
He's
and
fucking
the
Leia by the
second
end of those
time,
movies.
He's eaten by a fucking Sarlacc. Boba Fett is not a badass. Boba Fett is a bitch.
He's the fucking galaxy's greatest bounty hunter. How is he plucky?
No, he isn't.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
On screen, practical, actual on-screen appearances of Boba Fett, he is a fucking chump.
Yeah, because he went up against fucking what's his name, Luke. He went up against that dick, and that was
Well,
the same
you
year.
you could
remember
use the
that
same
fight?
excuse for the guy he learned from, his father, who just got his head chopped off by Mace Windu in like 2 seconds.
Right.
Boba
They were
Fett
both
wasn't
lame.
defeated by Luke, dude. Boba Fett wasn't defeated by Luke. Boba Fett was defeated by a blind, stumbling Han Solo who accidentally
There you
turned
go.
around too fast, knocked into Boba Fett. His rocket pack goes off without him
Okay.
needing to, and he careens into the fucking Sarlacc.
Okay, so
that
you want to
might
act like
actually be the-
accidents don't happen. Accidents do happen, okay?
But listen, that might be the moment in Return of the Jedi where they use the Wilhelm scream.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm just
Boba
saying.
Fett careening into the Sarlacc
Wonderful.
pit. Like it's
Yeah.
I'm
it's
just saying-
comical.
Star Wars generally does not use badass heroes because they're not as fun to watch. It's more fun to watch people kind of like, oh my god, and kind of like plucky underdog their way through fights because George Lucas has this like Indiana Jones vibe to his adventures where people are just sort of barely making it for most of the screen time.
I'll tell you what. If old Sally Struthers here, whatever her name is, in Outlaws, shows up in the Princess Leia golden slave bikini, I'll play the game. But until then, I'm out. I'm out.
Sally
It's gonna be a no for
Struthers.
me, dog. Yeah, what's her name? Sally's or something? What was it?
Vess,
Oh well, I was close.
you were not close,
I
Red.
was
You
close.
were not
I knew
close at
there was
all.
an S. I knew there was an S in there.
Yeah, most of the badasses in Star Wars are villains in final boss fights because
Oh yeah,
main heroes need somebody to overcome that's cool and talented.
another great point. So there's no morality system in this game? Star Wars, the fucking very essence of Star Wars is a conflict of morality. If your Star Wars game, this is what pissed me off the most about Survivor and Jedi Knight. None of those games allowed you to be a bad guy. And
So
that makes no
basically, you
sense.
want another Knights of the Old Republic, and you will settle for nothing less.
I never played Knights of the Old Republic. So I
What
don't
the
know about
fuck, Rhett?
it. Yeah.
That
Come
is
on, you can't
Dude,
be
I'll be
sitting here.
honest.
that is
For how
objectively
loud-
the best
for
Star
how
Wars
loud-
game.
No, I'll be
System.
honest. For how loud and passionate I'm getting, I really don't even give a fuck about Star Wars. Seen it maybe once. Definitely ain't seen the new ones. Disney? No, definitely ain't seen the new ones.
Yeah, you're not missing much with those.
God, just such empty-headed devil's advocate horseshit. Yes, loud and proud, Rhett. Loud and proud.
So yeah,
Jesus Christ.
listen. If both of you play it, and you tell me it's sweet, I'll check it out.
Yeah, well,
But I don't think
I'll
that's gonna
report.
happen. I think both of you are gonna have similar reactions to it as you did. What's the Microsoft piece of shit?
Starfield.
Starfield. Yeah.
Oh no, it's gonna be better than Starfield. No fucking way, man. It's definitely gonna be better than Starfield.
What is this? In the comment section, we have give us Jar Jar as a main character. Ridiculous. Should be a game you play as Jar Jar that turns to a Sith. That is what everyone wants. Give us Sith Jar Jar. Who's that? Who's
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar?
Oh, Jar. Why is he saying Jar Jar?
Because
'Cause
that's what Jar
funny.
Jar says.
Yeah. Listen,
Oh, okay. Right.
There's fuck.
Might
We're
be.
we're never getting off the Star Wars topic. There was script notes and whatnot. The original plan for the prequel trilogy was for
Yeah.
Jar Jar to.
To be a bad guy, right? But then he tested so well they couldn't turn him bad. Was that how it went? Something like that.
They hated him more than any other character in the history of Star Wars. So you were close.
So why didn't they turn him bad?
Because that would require having him on the screen for a significant amount of time, and that felt like a no-go.
Just no.
He
balls.
was
No-
mostly cut from the second and third films. He was supposed to like you
Just no
basically
balls.
yeah.
no
basically
balls. No.
Yeah, okay.
No balls on those riders, man. They could have done a Hideo and done what they did with Raiden from MGS2. Everybody hated that dude. And look what they did with him in 4. He was arguably the most badass character in the entire series by the end of that game.
So
could've done that.
Rhett, we've gone on a Star Wars tangent for a pretty hilarious amount of time. What have you been playing for the last couple of weeks?
So I finished Star Wars Jedi, or Star Wars. What was the second one?
Jedi
Je-
Survivor?
Jedi Survivor?
No, yeah, Survivor. Yeah. I don't really want to talk about Star Wars anymore, though. What I have been playing is I've been playing a few new things, actually. I guess the first game I'll talk about. Remember, Paul, you were telling us about that Cocoon game?
Yep.
On Game Pass? Yeah. I played that and finished it. It's fucking great.
It is.
It's fantastic. It feels like Inception in a video game, where you've got these crystal orbs that have entire worlds inside of them, and you carry them around on your back. And then a lot of the puzzles have to do with going into these crystal orbs and doing something in this world, and then coming out of it and doing something in this world, and then coming out of that one into another one and doing something in that world. It's crazy. Like the way that they've layered the puzzle system throughout the game is really, really clever.
Yeah. And I really loved the because it has no tutorial. It just leads you into these things, and you intuitively figure out how to do them in a non-frustrating way, which is great.
Mhm. I found that there was really nothing frustrating about the game all the way through. There was maybe 1 or 2 spots where I was hung up for a little bit.
You're like, what the fuck do I do?
Exactly. But the puzzles were just difficult enough to encourage you to beat them and not frustrate you, not have you banging your head against the wall and saying you don't want to play this.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
And I really loved that how it leads you into moments of realization where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
because
totally.
you're carrying the crystal orb worlds around. You can enter any world at any time from any place, so long as you can get to the orb. Like, you don't have to reverse course to get to where you were.
Yeah.
It's like a non-real space. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. And the transition between those worlds is so clean.
Yeah,
it never got old. It's only like a 5-hour game or so, but for that entire 5 hours, that transition never got old. It's so clean. It's so smooth. I really like that game.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend, if you haven't gotten rid of your Game Pass, y'all go check it out. It's on Steam though, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Or was it? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. If you got 5-6 hours to spare, check out Cocoon, because it is absolutely going to be in the conversation for Indie Game of the Year.
Right. We decided last time if we play it, it counts.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, will it make our top 10 list for everything throughout the year? I don't know. But as far as like an indie, if you're doing strictly indie games, it has to be on everybody's top 10 list. It's going to be
to be fair, it came out in 2023.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yes.
But it just came. Oh, okay. Well, I guess it just got its console release this year then, yeah. Or did it just
Unclear.
I don't know. Yeah. Because
Not
I
sure.
thought because on Game Pass it was like recently added or new to I don't know. Maybe it just came to Game Pass. Well, either way, it's great. Go play it. Fantastic game.
That's
Caleb
the thing
says, "I
about
hate
where we are
puzzles."
in video games right now is there are so many games. It doesn't matter when something came out because there are a bazillion things that you haven't heard of, that you haven't tried, that you haven't seen. So your baby getting delayed for a year, or people, spreading things out over more time, it does not matter. You can
Right.
find something that is your taste right now, today.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good times. Real good times.
Sweet.
That's all there really is to say about it, though.
I haven't played anything.
You haven't played anything?
No. No.
Well, we could talk about how much I love College Football 25 if you like.
Oh, sure.
That game is fucking great.
So
As somebody that hasn't
what makes it different than Madden?
So the big thing is that there's a lot more nuance and a lot more control over the defense and the offense. There's a lot more things that you can do with your defensive line and your offensive line that Madden's never done before. There's different kinds of slants, different kinds of empties. There's all kinds of options that you can use now. Like it just feels fun. That's the big thing. Like Madden hasn't felt fun in a long time. But college football, it just feels fast paced, high scoring, there's a lot of high scoring games. The jukes and the spins and everything like that work really well. So when you pull them off, they feel really rewarding. The atmosphere is incredible. Like the atmosphere is really, really good. There's 134 different teams. They got all 134 college and university teams in there. And I swear, like every single one of them has like a unique intro and unique celebrations. And it all feels very, very personalized. If you're an Army fan, if you're a fucking Marshall fan, LSU fan, whatever, you're probably going to be pretty happy with how your team's been represented in the game. Yeah, it's really, really well done.
Well, the in-game experience of being at a college game is so unique to each stadium. It's
yeah. And it's cool. Like you really feel the difference between a 10,000 person stadium and a 100,000 person stadium. Like when you're in that 100,000 person stadium, it's fucking booming. You get there's the new like stadium pulse meter that they have that appears periodically in the top right corner to let you know how that's affecting both sides of the game. So if you're the home team, you're gonna have like higher pass completions, better runs, stuff like that. But if you're on the defensive side of things, or if you're the away team, you're going to have basically negatives in all your stats the louder the stadium gets, and you really feel it. Even stuff like your play arts, you'll like zoom out to look at all of your pass routes, and the lines will be all fucking squiggly and shit, and you won't be able to tell like where exactly somebody's going to end up because everybody's panicking. Like it's an interesting way to do that. And it's something that I felt has been severely lacking in all sports games forever, essentially. There's no fucking home or away advantage. There's never a fucking home advantage in any of this shit. Or away disadvantage, I should say.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's about time that we see this in games, and I really hope that EA brings this into all of their other sports games. Like they need to have something like this in every sports game they do. It definitely changes the way you play each game. Makes it feel a little less monotonous, especially when you're going through. Like I could imagine being on a long road trip during an 82 game NHL season and having to deal with rabid crowds that hate your team over and over again would create some interesting moments that you otherwise don't get in those games. So yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with it. It looks great too. Graphically, it looks great. Crowd members from afar, they look good. When you zoom in, they've got that classic EA mannequin-esque feel to them. But I mean, overall it looks great.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the football game to play if you're going to play one. Skip Madden this year, or
I'll tell you what though, Madden has shown some things that are looking pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people in the YouTube comment sections on the videos that have been shown off for Madden, a lot of people are like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in, or oh shit, EA's actually trying with Madden this year, stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm hopefully I'm going to be the one that reviews Madden this year, because it's probably the first time in 10 years that I've actually been excited for one. So we'll see. Definitely not going to get my hopes up with that one, but we'll see.
you think it'll be better or worse than Star Wars Outlaws?
Better. But that's not saying much.
Okay. I I don't think I was going to say, there's one that I don't think we talked about yet that I published a review for on the 17th. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate.
That's that roguelite, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Say more.
Well, it's got they definitely the developers definitely played a lot of Hades. There's a lot of Hades DNA in here. And it's fun. I don't know. I finished a review for it ages ago and I keep picking it back up and doing another run and like because you know, the four turtles play differently enough from one another that it feels worth it to switch around and try different people. And you've got like what they call turtle powers that you fucking pick up after battles, and that can sort of like change the way things go. And like they've tried to make the repeated runs a story beat where it's like, oh, there's a narrative reason for this. They don't succeed as well as Hades does, but that's okay. The combat itself feels pretty good. You've got like a variety of different powers you've got access to. You've got like a special that you can proc every once in a while, and then a tool you can use, and they both like the counters for those both build up when you like strike at or damage or take out regular enemies. And you can like get upgrades that shorten that cooldown time and like give you more charges for these skills, and like there's a bunch of them you can find out in the wild that are really cool. And yeah, like different turtles have like different powers as well as different fighting styles. It's fun. It's like it's pretty. It's definitely simpler and more approachable than Hades. But like once you finish that first full run, like beat the boss or whatever, they open it up where it's like, do you want to do a much harder version of this and like in unpredictable ways going forward? And you know, maybe you do, but and there's like all these sorts of different like upgrades and shit you can like shop for and different things you can flesh out, and it's just like it's it's definitely simpler, but still very compelling. You're very much like, fuck, I could do another run. I could do one more. That'd be fine. That'd be easy. And like, yeah, you sort of figure out pretty quickly this is the turtle you want to be using more often than others. Like Michelangelo's my dude because he attacks way faster. Like he's not his strikes aren't as strong, but they're crazy fast, and you can stack like poison damage. So then you just start like hitting people with that, and then you run away, and then they just sort of die in front of you while you're like dodging whatever crazy attacks or like rolling over the place. And yeah, like the story's pretty whatever though, and like they do this thing where they're like, "Oh, I just finished a level, time to say something witty," and you run to the upper limit of how many witty things they have to say pretty fast.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles not necessarily known for narrative depth.
No,
like you know, the main villains don't even have a clear motivation other than crimes. They want to do some crimes. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun though. I found myself coming back to it like over and over again. I really enjoyed it.
And,
I mean, Hades
as
and
well,
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, couch co-op too. If you want to fuck with that, like if you've got
sweet.
buddies, you want to. Yeah,
this looks like the kind of thing I'd want to play for like 8 hours during Extra Life. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So is there? I assume it works like Hades in that you're going through a number of levels on these runs, and you're picking up upgrades along the way, and like sort of trying to make them synergize with each other. Have you found like one of those insane OP builds that lets you just stomp everything?
It's interesting. It's a little harder to make it super OP, but I find that like ooze, the poison, is very effective because like what happens is that when you finish a section or a stage, it's sort of RNGs are you going to get a turtle power, or are you just going to get currency, or are you going to get a health upgrade? And then once that happens, is that turtle power going to be ooze based, flame based, lightning based, or like one of the other ones? And you can get accessories that make it so the odds of getting the element you want go up. So like if you do enough like grinding and like upgrades in certain trees, you can definitely make yourself quite a bit stronger. And I did, once I figured out the build, get to the end of it without too much trouble. But then that like post game like harder run, I'm not because they're like, because you'll get this secondary portal where it's like, all right, now the mousers explode every time you defeat them, and enemies have 15% more health. And then you can find one of those portals that makes things harder, like every second stage. And so it gets crazy hard. And there's currency you can only get from the harder versions of like certain boss fights. So yeah, as far as challenge goes, they definitely have it for you in spades. And I haven't played couch co-op, and I'm very curious as to what that's like, because like I feel like it would really change the fucking game. In my review, I was just thrilled that they had the feature in the first place, because like it feels like a game where you want to have like yourself and a couple of buddies just like going crazy in these fucking stages.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was fun. It was I was shocked at how much fun I had with it. Yeah.
Ninja Turtles on a streak here. It's two in a row. Bangers.
Yeah.
Are the turtles voiced?
Yes.
Are they voiced well?
Yeah. It's not like the classic voices. It's from one of the other, because there's been a bunch of animated shows or whatever that have come out since. I think it's either a voice cast from one of those, or it's an original voice cast. But they're good. You know, they sound pretty good. Everybody sounds pretty good. The dialogue writing is okay. So the voice talent is sort of canceled out by that. But like, but it's not really a game you play for the story in the first place, so I'm not terribly fussed about that.
I like the I like the art design. It's very much in the direction of the comic books versus the Nickelodeon style.
No, it looks and feels good. I quite enjoy it.
So I know I said I haven't played anything. I'll tell you what I am about to play though. And that is Fallout London.
Oh yeah.
Shit, that's finally out.
It is. And it's like a freestanding thing that you download off of GOG.
Yeah.
And so long as you have Fallout 4 and all the DLCs, it just kind of works. And by all accounts, it's pretty damn good. Like, about as good as Bethesda's stuff. So,
yeah.
Be very curious.
Well, they've been working on it for
all
years. So.
Basically, since Fallout 4 came out.
Yeah.
So, 9 years.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get into that.
Yeah.
Sounds like the perfect stopgap between Fallout 4 and 5.
Well, they refused to let Obsidian get in there and make a Fallout game again. So this is basically Fallout 4 New Vegas.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's any good. I kind of expect it to just be Fallout 4, but with some new story, some new lore, and I'm pretty happy with that, so long as it's decently written.
Yeah.
But
I feel like they will probably give you more of a choice in how you respond to situations and develop your character.
Yeah, it sounds like they brought back a lot of the perk systems, etc., from New Vegas.
Yeah,
which
I know
are
biggest,
objectively better.
The biggest complaint about 4 was that you didn't really feel like you were in control of the story. You were just kind of on a set path.
Yeah,
and no matter what you chose in conversation, it all sort of led to the same place. Whereas with obviously New Vegas, you could vastly alter the story depending on how you spoke to people and who you killed and who you sided with.
And that's such a critical error for a game like Fallout, where you're supposed to be, this is your character, do whatever you want. You're shoehorned into the my baby is missing storyline. So doing literally anything but that, it doesn't feel like your story anymore. It's like this character would not do that. You don't have a choice of who your character is, but
yeah, exactly.
hope the have some a jolly old English nonsense with a Fallout spin. Got a pretty big voice cast.
Yeah.
You got one
That's
of the
impressive.
former doctors on the list. The 6th Doctor, I believe.
Damn.
Doctor Who.
That dude's got to be
Really?
like,
For Fallout London.
it's got to be getting on in years,
Yeah,
man.
like go on IMDb, check out the voice list. They have like hundreds of people in this game.
That's crazy.
And it's free.
Crazy. And it's free. So how or did they pay these people?
Hard to say. Could just be favors. I don't know.
Could be favors. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
For the love of the game, maybe.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah. So we'll report back on that one. James, you said you had a lot on the go. What else is up? What's going on?
I did Gestalt Steam and Cinder, which is like a 2D. It's a Metroidvania game that I played the demo for like 3 or 4 years ago for E3, and it's a pretty decent Metroidvania. The pixel art is good, and the combat is pretty all right. And if you're in a Metroidvania mood, then fuck, man, get after it. I don't know. It's a pretty decent game. I don't have a whole ton to say about it. I enjoyed it. It's got kind of an interesting story, and like there's your standard bits of like backtracking and upgrading, and like it's one of those games where it doesn't feel complete until you get the double jump, and then you get it and you're like, fuck, yes, this is what was missing. And then it feels like you can really start playing. It's one of those. Yeah,
That is so true. You play any of the Metroid games before you get, I pick any of the power-ups. You feel like you're just a piece of shit out there.
Yeah, without the double jump, it's just like, what are you even fucking doing? What are we doing here?
It's like you don't have missiles. You suck. You don't have morph ball. You suck. No speed booster. You're bad.
Yeah. But get that DJ, then man, you're in there. You're in like Flynn. Yeah, so that was great. Also, I think I mentioned this. I've quit Game Pass and converted for the next year to PlayStation Plus, Super Premium Extra Alphanumero.
Yep.
And so I went in a fucking fat little downloading spree. So I got Horizon Forbidden West. I got the special edition of Dragon Quest XI. I downloaded the new version of Crisis Core. There's a Wipeout collection from like 2017 that was like a cool ass racing game with a lot of weird little challenges. Lego Worlds I downloaded. Disco Elysium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice voice. Yeah,
which I played a bit of that just to see what it was all about, and man, I fucking get it. I think there's a couple of like old school racing games. I got like Ridge Racer 4 and like the Ridge Racer Type 2. I think it's like a PS2 game. I do love the Ridge Racer series. I'm sort of sad that never really made it out of the PS2 era. Those were fun games with fantastic soundtracks. And like, Animal Well, I tried because it was just on the system, and like that's another Metroidvania that I highly recommend. Yeah, just a shitload. Just like feel like once a week I'm just like going through the list. I'm like, all right, tried that was fun. Delete that, download something else, just to like see what's out there. There's a bunch of weird Japanese RPGs that you can't download, but you can stream, which I haven't tried yet. I'm very curious to see what that's like. I'm gonna try the streaming system, see if it's like janky and fucked or if it works. It's mostly RPGs right? Where you have to do the streaming for. And to me, that makes sense because like if the connection's gonna be less than perfect for something turn-based, that's probably fine. You're like that, you know what I mean? Like it's not a big deal if it's like got a little hitch in his giddy up.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
What's coming out on PS Plus next month? So we got a comment saying the next PS Plus games are worse and seem to be getting worse every month.
Interesting. The ones that they just give away with a subscription, I don't know. They're not great. I don't know if they've ever been great. I think what happens with PS Plus is that you get a couple of good months and it like spoils you for all the other months that are like extremely mid.
Yeah.
It's like Xbox games with gold. It's like busted.
I don't know if you can compare those two. Games with gold has been was until they killed it pretty sad. These are at least full games. Got next for August, Lego Star Wars, the full Skywalker Saga 1.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Five Nights at Freddy's game, Security Breach, and Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights. 2D action RPG.
Does sound a little lackluster. I mean, the Lego Star Wars is good, but I mean, it's nothing that you're gonna step over your own father to go play or anything like that.
It's one of Lego games are weird. They're pretty fun to play. They're well written, but I'm not gonna go out of my way for them.
No.
And I feel like giving it away for free is the only way I'm gonna be like, yes, hook me up.
Yeah.
Trying to see what the game library ones are. I don't know how to find that.
There's a Screen Rant article that has like the complete list. Let's see. Scrolling. Jesus, this is so.
Caleb in the chat says, "I only enjoyed playing Lego Harry Potter. Only one worth playing." Well, I mean, if you enjoy one, you enjoy them all. Every one of them is the exact same.
They are the same game.
Yeah,
they're not appreciably different. Like I promise, if you had a good time with the Harry Potter one, most of the other ones that have come out in the last decade will be about as fun.
Absolutely.
I played the Marvel superheroes one. That one's cool.
Yeah,
it's all right, just like the other ones.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find a list. I don't know. Not that much comes out on this platform, not compared to Game Pass.
Yeah.
But there's a decent amount of stuff in the back catalog. If you wanted to sign up for a few months, you'd find more than enough stuff, especially if you haven't played a bunch of the Sony first party games. It's not up to date, but most of the stuff is there. Like, you know, from the Days Gone and Last of Us 2 era.
Right.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales, I think, is on there.
Fuck Days Gone was a banger.
Shame they're not making another one, honestly. That game is underappreciated because people did... you and I talked about this, Rhett. People did not finish that game, and that's why they didn't like it.
It had such a good ending, too.
Yeah.
Such a good cliffhanger ending that just perfectly set up the second game, and... I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to get it. Maybe it'll be like an Alan Wake situation where we have to wait fucking 12 years or something like that before it finally gets the green light.
Could be. They've got to put out something that makes a ton of money before they'll get the green light on Days Gone 2.
Yeah. I think the further we get away from that game's release date, the more and more of a cult classic it's going to become. And eventually there will be a strong demand for it.
Yeah. It seems like it's getting to that point already where people are like, man, you know, that game was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I know. Yeah. I told you.
People were just like...
No one listened. I got flamed for my review of Days Gone, which I think I gave it an 8.
Yeah. Solid.
Jesus.
That's a great game. And I remember people got caught up in the fucking whole diatribe. The online outrage about, oh God, you're playing as another grizzled white guy. Oh my God, meh, meh, meh. And people would just like instantly wrote the game off when it was fucking great.
Yeah, it wasn't like the magnum opus of of video game writing, but it was a good enough story.
Good enough.
Deacon was interesting. There were some good characters, good moments,
Good voice acting.
very good voice acting. Sam
And
Witwer,
I
I
mean,
believe.
come on, like the moment to moment gameplay was absolutely sick. Like when you would roll up on a spot where there were like 500 zombies that you had to outsmart. You
It was
like
good,
I can't think
good
of another
stuff.
game that did that or that's ever done that. It's intense. It's intense in a way that you won't maybe like Left 4 Dead, but even Left 4 Dead, like you never got a huge group, a seemingly impossible group of enemies swarming you
Yeah.
where the only thing you could do is run away and try to outsmart them using the environment.
The closest thing technology wise is probably the rats in Plague Tale, but
Yeah.
you like do not interact with that.
No, the
But-
rats like with the zombies, theoretically, if you came up on a swarm of 3,000 zombies, theoretically you could defeat them all.
Yeah.
It's not advised to try, but you could.
You'd have to do a lot of setting up of
Yeah.
barrels and tanks and walls. You could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was a great game.
You played it on PS4 or PS5?
I played it on PS4, so I wrote a review for that game as well. I don't know, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on the show like years ago, but my review for Days Gone was the one that I wrote as like a fucking tester review for COG.
Oh, really?
Because I had just finished that game and I fucking loved it, so I wrote a review for that. And I do remember that on the PS4 there were some technical limitations.
Yeah.
Like I remember the more that you upgraded your bike and the faster you would go, the more of a frame rate issue would arise. Apparently that was all fixed on the PS5 and whatnot. So it might be time for me to go back and revisit that game because I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind giving it a crack on PC.
Oh yeah, with mods?
Yeah,
Ooh. Yeah, that's a good call.
that could be cool.
That's a very good call.
So what else? What else we got on the list here, if anything?
I have I guess one more game that I could talk about, which kind of goes hand in hand with Days Gone. I just did a review for Earth Defense Force 6. And it
Oh
kind
shit!
of goes hand in hand because that's the same style of game where you have a seemingly impossible number of enemies that swarm you and you need to fight and scratch and claw your way to victory. It is, I would compare, like if there was a game to compare this to right now, it would be Helldivers 2. But it is quite different from Helldivers in that I think that Helldivers feels like less of a B tier movie, whereas Earth Defense Force has always sort of embraced a wonky wackiness. You know, it's not going to impress anybody with its visuals.
I was gonna
Controls are
say,
starting
talk
to-
about a game that looks like it's from the Xbox
Oh, yeah.
360.
Oh yeah, it looks 20 years old. But I think the point of that has always been to keep the graphics to as low of a resolution as possible and try to implement as little detail as possible in order to have 1,000 enemies on screen at all times and have the game run flawlessly. So that's been the big, like, that's been the staple of this franchise for a long time, is that no matter how hectic it gets, that frame rate stays smooth, man. It's crazy. And Earth Defense Force 6 is no different. You know, if you've played one, you've played this one. What I found interesting about it, though, what's sort of unique about it, is that every few games, the development team will do like a soft reboot on the story,
Mm,
because they usually tell a story of, you know, fighting this alien invasion up until the point of things becoming too much to handle, or, you know, the aliens win essentially and you've lost, and then they'll reboot the story. But with this one, at the end of Earth Defense Force 5, spoilers if you haven't played the game and if you want to, but at the end of Earth Defense Force 5, you essentially fight God. God comes down
yeah.
and he like destroys the planet essentially. He doesn't blow the planet up, but there's pretty much nothing left after the end of Earth Defense Force 5. So I think all the fans, everybody assumed that this new one was going to be that soft reboot that they usually do, but it's not. It's a direct continuation of that.
Oh, okay.
So it's been interesting to see where they take the story from a starting point that they've never begun from before, you know? Seeing how this Earth Defense Force team responds to there essentially being nothing left. And you know, what little hope you may have had in the previous games, from the very start, it feels like everything that we're doing is hopeless.
Fun.
Well, I'll tell you
So
what, these bugs jib pretty good. They blow up nice.
Oh, it's great. It's really satisfying. Again, if you played Earth Defense Force, you'll know what to expect here. Hundreds of weapons to unlock. All of them feel satisfying in their own way. I mean, obviously, you're gonna run into, you know, there'll be assault rifles that sort of feel similar, but there's hundreds of different weapons that feel unique and are really, really satisfying to play around with. It's got a fun sort of like roulette style of unlockables, in that you're playing through the levels and you're picking up loot crates essentially that reward you with random weapons. So you never really know what you're going to get. And so it kind of makes you, or it kind of puts you into that, you know, just one more run, one more level kind of frame of mind, pushing for that one big weapon that you're looking for. Gets addicting. It gets addicting. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, as most of the other games have been. And if you're looking for some fun, you know, brainless co-op action, because I highly recommend you play the game with friends. If you're looking for a game like that where you can just kick back, maybe if you've grown a little bit tired of Helldivers, check out Earth Defense Force 6. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid.
I think games like this are where the whole craze around idle games came from, because this is basically an idle game that you play.
Yeah.
You know, you fire the weapons, you blow up the stuff, the numbers go up.
Yeah.
The bugs get bigger, the guns get bigger, the numbers go up.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
it just
exactly.
feeds directly into that, you know, base human brain of the power fantasy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the big thing. You know, like looking at footage of the game, you might be like, you know, this kind of looks like crap, but it really is fun to play. That's really, you know, you can tell that the development team, Sandlock Games, their philosophy behind these ones are just make something that's fun to play. And this one nails that. There was something. Oh yeah, the environmental destruction is sweet as well. Literally everything you see can be blown up.
Oh,
So
sick.
that's fun. Yeah.
I don't understand why we got away from that.
I know.
We had that with like what are those games called? The Red Planet ones?
I don't know.
Geomod technology, where you could like blast weapons into anything and cut holes into anything.
I love that shit. I remember at the end of the PS2 era, we got a game called Black that had revolutionary environmental destruction. And I really thought that's where the industry was going, you know? Heading into the Xbox 360, PS3 era, I thought Black was going to kind of be a blueprint for a lot of shooters. And it just never really materialized. Of course, there are games that allow you to destroy the environment, but I feel like that's a lost art.
Red Faction.
Ah,
It's called.
yes, yeah.
James, anything else? Should we
No.
pack it up for another week?
I just noticed that there's like 3 Earth Defense Force games on PlayStation Extra, so
Ooh.
Hell yeah, dude.
Check them
Yeah.
out. Check them out.
yeah, I love blowing up bugs and crazy numbers endlessly. that sounds fucking great.
Dude, it is. It is. If you can play 5, I would say that that's a great place to get into the series, because 5 starts fresh. start like 5, you won't be missing anything from 4 essentially.
Dope.
Yeah.
Love that.
Sweet. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out. James and Rhett, thanks for playing games so we could talk about something, because I've been shirking my duties something awful.
Yeah. And go out there and get Star Wars Outlaws, people, because that is going to be game of the year, guaranteed.
100%. It's for sure going to be better than Rebirth.
It's for sure going to be better than Starfield.
There you go. That's that's probably a safer bet than it'll be better than Rebirth.
Yeah.
But, we appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you right back here next time for more of the Star Wars cast on layoff day. Whenever we're back. I'm pretty sure there will be layoffs happening. So we'll see you right here for that. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time on Press X.